WVTC Radio Detroit. You can find us on Facebook, YouTube, X, and our website, www.wvtcdetroit.com, or download our WVTC app from the Play Store for Android users and the App Store for iPhone users.
You're building the empire,
and we'll help you protect it.
Because even the most powerful women
still have trust issues.
How are you today?
Good. How are you?
Good. We are here for another installment of Trust Issues.
Yes.
The podcast that's about helping you who are so diligent about building your empire. We are here to protect it. Yes. I am your financial lady, Erica Hall, EH Wealth Advisors, and I'm here with my dynamic co-host.
Yes, Attorney Urenia Ricks Johnson with Ricks & Associates, PLLC.
Yeah, today, Urena, we come to talk about capacity. Mm-hmm. I love that word.
Yes.
You know why?
Why?
Because it really it's something that you can't fake. You got to be real about what you can and can't do.
Yes.
And so we've talked about this. I've run into a lot of people throughout my life, and even in evaluating ourselves, mm-hmm. where people want to start businesses. They want to be business owners. Mm-hmm. They want to. They see other people doing it, and they look at it. They want to own real estate. They look at the owner of a franchise, a mm-hmm. restaurant, or
a Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, a franchise team, a professional team. Mm-hmm. They look at it and they say, I can do that. When in reality, some people can't. Mm-hmm. Some people don't have the capacity to be entrepreneurs.
That's true.
But it really takes, there's a process for getting there.
It is.
And so today I want to talk about trusting the process.
Can we talk about that? That's a good topic, because a lot of times, I tell people all the time, you got to count up the cost. Like, can you afford, can you deal with what it takes to take on this next step or this next phase in your life.
Yeah.
And then understanding also the seasons in your life. Understanding, is this a season to branch out, or this is the season not to branch out? So understanding what your capacity is, and when you're able to stretch your capacity, and when you have to work within your capacity.
Right, because you're going to have, I love how you said that, you're going to have different seasons. Mm-hmm. And that first season initially is when you're learning. Yes. And so, I wanted to talk about, as we were talking about this experience, and you mentioned this before, I think that it's walking it out, knowing what it costs, counting it up. If you have to get mentors and all that kind of stuff. So today we're going to talk about what it takes. I want to introduce some seasons.
Okay,
right?
Let's do it.
Ecclesiastes, the seasons.
The seasons.
There's for every time under the sun, there's seasons. Yes. There's seasons to your life. There's seasons and then counting up the cost. So if I look at let's look at a couple of scenarios. Okay, we had some people that have been writing us and talking about.
Keep them coming.
Send your questions and everything that you would like for us to address. We're going to give you some insight on the show as we talk about not direct advice.
Information and insight.
Information and insight, right? So welcome to Trust Issues, where money meets mindset and power meets the protection. Right? That protection that we can help you protect what you've been building. Today's episode is about something we don't talk about all the time, but everybody ain't cut out for it. But knowing your capacity before chasing the crown. Everybody wants to boss up, be a boss, be an owner.
Let's do it.
But not everybody is ready. And that's okay. That's okay. Because sometimes you got to start somewhere. You got to learn to trust the process. You know, most professional or most successful, a lot of successful entrepreneurs and business owners, they talk about how they started by going into somebody else's business and becoming an apprentice or becoming a junior associate or becoming a volunteer to learn how everything is done before they try to venture off on their own.
And that was a process, right? That was they had to trust the fact that they were going to learn what they needed to learn during that time in order to launch out on their own.
Yeah.
So trusting that process of mentorship, apprenticeship, trusting that's a trust issue.
Yeah.
Right?
It is.
Because some people feel like they don't have to go through that process. They don't have to trust that process. I could just go right there.
Yeah.
And start it. And, you know, we're living in times where a lot of things where it used to be you had to study to get those things. We have a lot of modern technology now, right?
Oh, yeah, AI.
So a lot of times AI, right? That chat GPT, you know, people feel like sometimes I don't have to go through all those processes. I could just type it in.
Yeah.
You know, and go through those processes. So what would you say to a person that is looking to start something, but they feel like they've got everything they need to know off of ChatGPT? What would you tell them?
Well,
what would you tell them?
First of all, I'm gonna say thumbs up if you use ChatGPT.
Right, that's
or
first
any
of all,
other
right?
GPT. If you use it, you've mastered it. You've learned that the secret sauce is the prompts. Right, learning the prompts, but again, that's just information. ChatGPT doesn't have a body to do, to execute, to carry out. Right, and so I'm gonna tell you my personal story, my personal.
Okay,
I'm gonna tell you my personal experience, and so I was not. When I first was introduced to ChatGPT or you know just that whole AI experience, I had some apprehension at first.
Okay,
but I quickly discovered that it sped my work up. And it helped me to overcome areas of procrastination. Hello, my name is Erica Hall, and I am a procrastinator. I will procrastinate. But there's some reasons why I procrastinate, because I'm mulling around ideas in my head, right? I'm thinking it over, how I'm going to execute, how I'm going to, you know, trying to come up with the step 1, step 2, step 3. And ChatGPT just all that is just, I get it. It gets spewed out just like that. But I still have to execute. I still have to take it and get to work, right?
So it's a tool, right?
Yeah.
It's a tool. If you use it effectively, it can be a great tool to use, right?
Right.
Yeah.
You know, you made me think of a scripture. I want to go find it.
Let's do it.
Luke 14:28 says, "For which of you intending to build a tower sitteth not down first and counteth up the cost, whether he have sufficient to finish it."
And that's principle.
Right?
That's the principle
That
thing.
is principle. That is definitely principle. So sitting down and counting up the cost. Okay, so you asked me the question, I meet people all the time and have clients who they want to start at the top.
Okay.
They want to start with a business. They want to start with something that is. They want to start with a trust.
Okay.
They want to organize a business. They want to do all these things, but may not have a bank account. May not be filing taxes. May not have, or they're ready to invest, but they don't have an emergency fund. You know, they don't have a steady cash flow. And I'm not going to deter you from those things, but I will explain to you that the secret to investing is being able to stay for the long term.
That's true.
You know, in today's episode, we're going to talk about something we don't talk about enough. Knowing your capacity before chasing the crown. Everybody wants to boss up, but not everybody is ready. And that's okay.
That's
if
true.
you learn to trust the process. You got to learn how to trust the process.
That's true.
And so getting back to, we were talking about using ChatGPT, and I use it every day. And I don't know if it's creating more work for me, because you got to actually execute.
You do.
You have to actually execute what it says. You know, once it spews out a strategy or a plan, it says do this, do this, do this, do this. You still got to do it.
You got to do it.
You still have to do it. So I was sharing with you the other day about how I meet with clients all the time, and they hear these things about, they want to start a business. They say, I want to start a business. How do I start my business? And or they want to establish a trust because they've heard somebody talking about a trust, or they may want to get just something that I consider more advanced type planning products or things without having the foundational things in place, such as bank accounts and emergency funds and basic life insurance, or establishing a 401k or an IRA, before we get into the more advanced types of things. And so I try to help them understand the importance of building a foundation. And a lot of times those things go along based on like where you are.
Yes. And just understanding those learning processes and the foundation is key, because what are you building on?
Yeah.
If you don't have the foundation because you're going to take those same principles to the business or wherever you start. And if the principles are raggedy, or not together, then your business is bound to be not together, and you're going to go through things. And not to say your business won't be successful, but you're going to go through a lot of things within your business, whereas you could have started it at a better position on a firmer foundation.
Firm foundation. That's what we saw in Luke 14:28, right? And I think that passage goes on to say, because if you haven't counted up the cost, and you don't have a firm foundation, and you run out of money, and you run out of capacity, you run out of resources, everybody's gonna be walking by talking about, laughing at you. That's what it says.
That's what it says.
Everybody's gonna walk by laughing at you like you didn't even know what you were doing.
You didn't count up the cost.
You didn't even think about what it was going to take. And so if I were to apply that to like investing or creating a trust and all that kind of stuff, here's the thing. When it comes to investing, you don't have an emergency fund. You don't have other investment accounts set up, but you want to, you have a 401k, and now you have an emergency. And now you have to go into your 401k and
Is there penalties involved with that?
Penalties.
Right, okay.
And taxes that are just ridiculous.
Yes.
Yeah, they're ridiculous.
And that's the legal part of it. Like you said, even from that perspective, knowing the fact that if you do those things, there are legal repercussions.
Yeah.
Establishing when I set up businesses for people, I oftentimes tell them, okay, you have to set up a separate bank account.
Yeah.
You have to make sure that those things, you don't commingle things. There are certain things you can apply to the business, but there are certain things you need to keep separate.
Right.
And then there's a lot of benefits and things like that out there when you follow those processes. We think back to COVID-19, and there was all of those things that were available for businesses, but I had individuals that couldn't access those things because their business wasn't together. They've been operating under it, but they have been commingling funds.
Yeah.
They don't have a separate account. They're just, they're not doing it the right way.
Yeah, because if you want to take advantage of all the benefits of tax, the tax benefits and tax cuts that businesses can have, especially under these new tax laws.
Yes.
You have to have your separate entities. Yes. You have to have your you have to have your personal and be able to show a paper trail and track record when it comes to the business. So, and then the other piece is how about when people want to do a trust? They want to do an estate plan. But there's really no assets to put in the trust.
And so that's when we go into the aspect of funding the trust. And you have been integral in helping clients with that. My clients with doing that.
Yeah.
But titling things in their name. But the trust is helping them to understand that they need a foundation.
Yeah.
So a lot of times when I am advising people about trust, I'm letting them know, okay, you want this document, but you have to have some way to fund it. You have to have some assets to fund it, and we need to be able to assign it properly.
Right.
So from that perspective, it's only going to be effective if you use it properly.
Yeah.
With anything that we have and we do, we have to make sure that we are educated enough to use it properly.
So we're gonna take them back to the beginning of the process.
Okay, let's do it.
All right, and I'm going to I wanna break down the disconnect between ambition and readiness. Because praise God for the ambition. Praise God for the desire, the passion.
We love it.
You know, social media glamorizes success.
It does.
One thing, it took me a minute to really, I'm telling my age here, but it took me a minute to trek on over to IG. I was always, on Facebook.
You was a Facebook girl? Yeah,
Don't tell nobody.
Yeah,
Don't tell nobody.
It
took me a minute, but
no judgment zone, right?
Come on. One of the reasons why was because I'm like fake. I mean,
yes,
it's just
because of how you saw people on Instagram, right?
And I'm not saying that what I'm seeing is fake. Okay, let me clarify. What it does to the psyche of people who are just scrolling. You just scrolling, and all you see is vacations and this and that, and it gives you a certain picture of how things. It makes it look so easy.
Right.
It makes it look so easy, and although people are probably trying to just promote themselves and for you to hire them for their to use their business services, we talked about it. People want to see your lifestyle.
They do.
And so they promote a certain lifestyle. So social media can be a little, kind of put you in the wrong mind frame that it's easy, but you don't see the foundation that it's built on.
And you don't see what they went through in order to get to that point, to be at the point where they can go on vacation and can spend this time doing these things. You don't see that process.
Definitely. Definitely. So let's get into some of these steps today.
Okay. Let's talk about it.
And then I'm gonna share we'll share with you all today some of the stories that people have been submitting. Go ahead and submit your stories, your questions to us. And make sure it's in the link. We'll put that in the link so you'll know how to submit your questions. I'm going to talk about 4 financial life stages.
Okay.
That I'm not going to take all the credit that I came up with. I heard my pastor talking about it at church.
Okay. See.
He talked about the 4 quarters. And I took that and I applied some strategies based on the things that we should be focusing on at the different stages in our life.
Makes
right?
sense. Mm-hmm.
And so I've named the stages in these different quarters, and I want to talk about the framework. And I know you're going to be able to chime in with some of the things that we should be focusing on. And I'm going to do it from a financial perspective.
Let's do it.
All right. So the first stage, I call it the seeking stage.
Okay.
The seeking stage is like, in your early 20s, maybe to your early 30s, right? Think about that time in your life.
College
graduating, finding a career. You may not, or find a job. You may not know what it is that you want to do. I personally didn't figure out that I wanted to get into the financial services businesses until I was like 25.
Okay.
Yeah. I was about 25, 26, 27. I don't know. The light bulb just went off.
What do you feel like drew you to that light bulb?
Oh my goodness, it's a long story, but I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna tell you real quick. I was working at a company, and I worked in the corporate side. I worked on the corporate side. It was a warehouse. Okay. We had a warehouse where they built kits to go out to the automotive companies, but I worked in the office, in the front office, and once I was there for so long, they enrolled me in the 401k. Okay. And I went to the 401k meeting. And they start talking about these blue chips and these bonds and these stocks. And I felt like this information had been kept from me. And I was like, oh. And so I was like, oh, this is the real deal. I like this right here. And I started off with $100, right? And so
that was your light bulb moment.
in my 401k, and I would call Fidelity. I would call Fidelity at least once a month. I would probably over exaggerate if I said once a week. See, I'm getting excited just talking about it. I can barely talk, but that's when the light bulb went off. And I used to call Fidelity, and Fidelity would say, "Well, ma'am, I can't give you advice, but we could tell you what to do." And so I started talking about it to people all the time. And they was like, I don't want to talk about that. That's why we pay people to do that for us. I'd rather pay somebody to do it. So light bulb went off, and I was like, oh, well, you can pay me.
Because I'll talk to you about it.
Because I'll handle it for you.
Okay.
And tell you what I did. Right? So that's when I figured out what I want. I was working in a company, had a degree in a whole nother field altogether. But the light bulb, that was that stage. I was seeking what I wanted to do. How about you?
Well, I knew in the 6th grade that I wanted to be a lawyer.
Oh, so you were
right?
special.
But let me say this.
Smart.
I didn't know what type of law I wanted to do. The light bulb
But
really
you
didn't
knew
go
you
out.
wanted to be an attorney.
I knew I wanted to be an attorney, but I did not know what type of attorney I wanted to be until my first job.
Okay.
And I worked for the UAW Legal Services, and I knew what I didn't want to do.
Yeah.
And I knew what the areas that I wanted to do and that I liked, which is what I'm doing now. But working there, I had a lot of family law. We're going to bring in a family law expert, but that was not my thing.
Right. You had to find your niche.
I had to find my niche.
Because there's so many areas in financial services.
Yeah, it was so many areas of the law that were thrown. Because at the UAW Legal Services, what they do is it's pretty much like the kitchen sink. They just have you do everything.
Right. See what you're good at.
And I was like,
see what you,
no,
what you
I don't
towards.
like this.
Right.
So I really
great.
tried to figure those things out. But I did love the fact of even with my first job in high school, and just a kind of a light bulb moment type of thing that I had in high school was when I worked at Hudson's back in the day, when they went over those
Macy's,
things.
y'all.
Yes, Macy's now, right? They went over like financially, like planning and putting money aside. And I remember, even from that perspective, going home and saying, I want to make sure that I plan for when I get older, and putting those things aside and doing those things. So those things excited me too. So just to making sure that I was educated about saving my money and for long term.
That's good. That light bulb moment. And it's so important because now prior to that, I had to apply for college, select a degree program, and I wasn't quite sure. I actually wanted to go into law. Okay. I wanted to be an attorney, but I didn't know.
You can still do it.
You keep saying that every time.
You can still do it,
every time
right?
I'm saying that, you gonna talk me into it, girl.
Right, you can still do it. Go to law
I just
school.
took the LSAT.
Listen.
Right.
That's gonna be a subject, right?
I told my son a couple days ago that I was thinking about going to law school. He was like,
you should do it.
I'm just letting him know. I'm still young.
We go.
The mind's still right. But I was thinking about. I think I went to some kind of placement program, and the guy who was running the program, he kept pushing everybody to go into education. I wanted to be a teacher when I was in 1st grade because I had a great Miss Esselman. I had a great first grade teacher.
You remember the name?
Oh, yeah.
Right.
I remember Miss Esselman, Miss Huckleberry, Miss Alabakoff, Miss Anasorg, and Miss Brown. That's 1st to 5th grade.
Wow.
I remember them all. The teachers, you're very impressionable. But yeah, I went into education, but I didn't really want to be I didn't want to be a teacher. And my first student teaching assignment with them 6th graders, they was bad.
They was bad.
Them bad kids. I was like, I would not do this for the rest. I love teaching.
So is that what you got your degree in initially?
I got my degree in communication.
Okay, gotcha.
In PR.
Okay.
Right?
Public relations. What we're doing now. Right.
What we're doing now. I got my degree in communications. I wanted to tell the story. I wanted to, but then I got introduced. So I had to do something, to graduate. And then I got into PR. I worked in PR for a few years. But right before I got into PR, I was working at that company and got the 401k. And the light bulb went off, and I found myself drifting. At my PR job. I was drifting. I know if my PR boss would probably say, yeah, girl, we know.
We can tell.
Drifting because the light bulb, the fire had been lit, right? And but when you're at the stage, that seeking stage, you kind of need to be exposed to many different things so you can figure out what it is that you're good at, what you want to do. And you can't just say, I want to be an entrepreneur. You want to be an entrepreneur at what?
I remember stating even in law school that I wanted to own my own firm. And then I had a study group.
Yeah.
And they were just like, you better than us. They were like, we just want to work for a firm and we just want to collect our check and practice the law. Like trying to build and be an entrepreneur. They were looking at me like, I don't want to do that, right? But I knew that it was different. Even when I went to the barristers ball and I met a couple other attorneys, and one attorney, she was just like, you know, being an entrepreneur and practicing law is not for the faint at heart. She was just like, I would fake.
You know what?
She was like, I would. She said, I would fake because she was just saying how much it takes, that capacity of just going beyond practicing law, but actually doing entrepreneurship. It's a whole nother job. It's a whole nother level of wherever you
know
are
how many
working
hats
in.
you got on?
Yes, I got a lot of hats.
You have on a whole lot of hats throughout the day. You're the receptionist. You're the admin. You're the file
Because if they don't show up, guess who got to do it?
Yeah, but when you first started your business, it was just you.
It was me. So I was everything.
Yeah, you had to do everything. You wear so many hats. You got
so
to do
I
the
could
accounting.
train everybody on those aspects of it, right?
And then you got to know the law. You got to know the law. You got to know what they can do. You got yeah.
And what, you know, the difference between, you know, people in my office that actually work as a legal assistant. Yeah. Paralegals actually, you know, are able to practice in a certain way. Yeah. You know, but they do more research. But just knowing the different levels of people, even within my office, was a challenge, and trying to work through that.
Definitely. So in that first stage, but you said something that's real important. Mm-hmm. Like the folks who said to you, you want to be an attorney and an entrepreneur, you know.
Yeah, and I was in my 20s then. I was in law school, and I was saying that, and they were like, but they knew their capacity. They were just like,
Yeah, just
you know, I just want to practice law. The law is hard enough. I'm not trying to be an entrepreneur.
You have to know. You have to know that it does. It takes a different level of capacity to be an entrepreneur versus doing the 9 to 5, and sometimes that's what it takes. Or even if you're starting over, and so just going back to this stage of the seeking stage, you're still figuring out life. Mm-hmm. You're still figuring life out. You might not have a whole lot of financial independence. You still may depend on your parents or someone to financially support you. And so that is sometimes that's a little precious time where you get to, don't blow it off. You know, try different things.
That's true.
Get exposed, get a mentor, get some guidance. Start with some basic structure in your life, building those habits, so that when you do go into the next stage, you've built that firm foundation. Those mentors are still there. The guidance is there to tell you, no, young blood, don't go down this road. Right. You don't want to come over here. I've been there, done that.
And experience, my mother told me a long time ago, she said experience is not the greatest not the greatest teacher. You can learn from my experience. So you don't have to actually experience it.
Go ahead, mama.
You can learn from my experience. Because, a lot of times people think, I experienced it. You got to experience for yourself. Child, you got to experience for yourself. Nope. You got to see that I experienced it. Yeah. So you don't have to experience it.
Right. True.
Right?
Right. There's cases for both. Sometimes people got to bump their own heads.
That's true. And
then other people will say, well, no, I see how it was for you, so I'm gonna go this way. Mm-hmm. So cool. I think that entry level. That's that when you're in your entry level, you're not making a whole lot of money. You might be going in to get your master's, whatever it may be, or starting over in your career before you go into this next stage. That next stage is I call it the knowing stage.
The knowing stage. Okay.
Yeah. The knowing stage.
Okay, what's
and
that?
So now you're in your mid 30s.
Okay.
Mid 30s to maybe your mid 40s, early 40s.
Early 40s.
Early
okay.
40s. Okay. Knowing stage. Now I know what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. I'm a financial advisor.
Okay.
Or I'm an educator. Mm-hmm. I am an attorney. Mm-hmm. I'm pursuing my career. I have my license. I'm getting my license. I finished my license. Now I'm getting my certification. I've taken my state boards. I'm setting up shop. I'm working in my career. I'm working on my business. or I'm working in my career with the goal that I'm going to have a business. But now I'm getting all this information, and I don't really need someone else to financially support me. But I'm on my way.
Okay.
Right? So I call that the knowing stage. And when I meet with clients who are in this area, I would say they're building a foundation. They may not have a whole lot of money saved, but maybe they're just getting started with they got a few dollars saved.
Okay.
They're building some good financial habits, and I think that they have reached a place where they're looking for, okay, where do I go from here?
Right. What's next?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Or even if they want to save, or if they want to have another business, maybe they have reached the place where now maybe I want to explore something else. Maybe I've been in the foundation of a job for a period of time.
Yeah.
Now I may want to explore entrepreneurship.
Yes.
I want to explore something that I've always had a passion to do.
Yes.
What would you advise them to do if they're at that phase? They've established their initial career, but they're not necessarily, that's not their dream, though.
Right. Yeah.
What would you say would be the steps that they need to take in order to start a business at that point?
Yeah. So I mentioned earlier getting with a mentor.
Okay.
Getting with someone or people who are doing what it is that you want to do. You
Okay.
need to be that needs to be your circle. That needs to be who you're spending your time with. Have you read the book Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad Poor Dad?
I have.
Popular.
Yeah, it was really good.
You remember in the book he talks about 4 different types of income. There's that job. There's your earned income. The job you go to, you show up, you work for somebody else 9 to 5, get paid, earn income. There is you become self-employed. That's almost like having a job, except
right.
it's just you
still chasing money.
Except it's just you. Instead of you going to a 9 to 5, now you're self-employed and you work all day, and if you don't work, you don't make money.
Yes.
And then the third kind of income is business. The business, right? And so the business is where you now you've registered your LLC. Maybe now becomes an S corp, and now you're hiring employees. You've expanded the practice where you now, like you just talked about, have your paralegal, your receptionist, your interns, different people that you've now hired in your business. And before you get to that stage, when you're an LLC, you might want to, or before you form your LLC, you might want to go work with someone or work in that field with a company, and be honest and go in with the knowledge that I'm here to learn so that I can go do what you're doing.
Yes.
And people will welcome you in. How do I know? Because that's how I got started.
Yes.
How I got started. I always tell the story that it was a great gesture, because I met this lady in the airport.
Oh, wow.
And she was she had these nice Louis Vuitton luggage, and we were going to a financial conference, but I was working with another firm. And she was on the phone, and she was struggling with her bags, trying to get them connected together, trying to connect them. And so I reached down and held the bag up for her so she could connect the bags. And she didn't see me at first, but she noticed all of a sudden her bag was standing up by itself. She was like, oh, thank you, darling, And we struck up a conversation. And before we left that airport, I will say that she offered me a job. But before we left San Diego, she did.
Wow. And
she said something to me that was so pivotal. She said, if I could teach you how to build a practice so that you never have to sell again, would that be of interest to you? I said, yes, ma'am.
Yes. Yeah.
And then I went to go work for her for about 5 years.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, for 5 years. But there was an agreement. The first year, I had to strictly just work for her. The second year, I worked her book. And then I could bring on my own clients. And the agreement was that any clients that I brought on would be my book of business. And so I was essentially building my practice while I was working her book. And the agreement was 3 years. I ended up staying like 5 years. That's how long it took me to build. But that's what I would say.
Yeah, and
something like
that's
that.
Great, but that's a great mentorship. That's a great opportunity, and I think that those things are out there for individuals, and to actually have somebody to help you along the way, so that way a lot of the pitfalls that she probably experienced, you probably didn't have to experience because
Not
you
at
had
all. Yes.
that
Because
guidance.
when she said that you have to do everything, she had me doing everything in the business that once I went out on my own, I had to do. Compliance, regulatory things, licensing,
Legal.
all
Yes,
those things. I had to do. I had to be responsible for those things that may be administrative, or operations, practice management.
Because it was just you, right?
It was something that she wanted me to take on to be responsible for, but at the same time, what she taught me was the building a practice was actually the mentality and the approach. It's a mentality versus selling. You're not selling. You're providing solutions, right?
Solutions, yes.
Right? You're providing solutions. And so I just want to say, you just mentioned something that's pivotal. So going into the next stage, I call this mastery, the mastery stage.
Okay.
That mastery stage is when you're hitting, you built that practice. You've now, you are in, as people say, you're in your bag.
In your groove, right?
Right. You hit your stride. You don't nobody need to give you any guidance, because you give the guidance.
Right. Now you're the teacher.
You're the teacher.
Okay.
Yes, you are the teacher. You're the one who's called to come do presentations and to speak. She was the master, and I was the apprentice, right? And then I remember the moment that I felt like
you felt no jam, right?
I did this dance. I did the dance. Yeah, with the neck and everything. I'm a master.
That's what we do.
I'm mastering my career, my topic. I know my stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's a good place to be in, though.
It is.
Like to actually get to that point, and recognizing that point in life, and understanding that we actually have an obligation to reach back at that point.
Oh my goodness.
And to teach.
Yeah, that's how you get help.
That's how my mentoring program started, even with Corporate Development Institute, my nonprofit. It started because I didn't have a guide. I didn't have anybody else in my family that was a lawyer. So all those bumps and bruises that I experienced from the standpoint of even building business, because I had nobody. My parents, they were auto workers. They didn't know anything about being a lawyer, building a law firm, or any of those things. So those things that I've learned,
that's good.
If I can help somebody else,
you have to.
You got to.
You have to, because you have so much knowledge.
Yes, that's what we need to do.
Yeah, you're a wealth of knowledge. And so I'll wrap it up here with that. The last stage is that legacy stage, right? The legacy stage is now you're a sage. And
you're ready to leave something for...
When you talk, everybody listening. Like, wait, y'all be quiet.
Right.
Let's hear what...
Simmer down, right?
Let's hear what she got to say. And then when you talk, you just like, don't go. It's one word phrases, because you have... And you also... And this is getting back to Robert Kiyosaki's 4 types of income. You also are now really focused on passive income.
Passive income.
Yeah.
And that, to me, that is the pinnacle of making money while you sleep. That is literally that passive income, and those are things that we are striving for.
Yeah.
To have that where it's residual, and the fact of being able to love what you do. Yeah. Doing the things that you love to do, and money not be your motivating force.
Money
of
is
doing
not the
things.
more, because you've built, you've built, and so you've built all of these things, and hopefully when you've been building, you're building different streams.
That's true.
That
And
are going to
multiple
kick
streams,
in. Yeah, that are
yes.
going to kick in at different times in your life, and so that you can focus on being that griot, being that sage,
Being that person.
being that legacy investor, who now it's about investing in other people.
That's it.
Now
That's
it's about giving other people support, and just going along and being available for them to plant seeds and all that kind of stuff. And you may not see the manifestation of that seed, but you know that you've done your part.
And it's going to sprout up eventually. Even if you never see it, it will sprout up. And
I
it
think
will
that's
grow.
why we're here.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what that's why we're here.
So that's
Right.
why we don't want to jump ahead.
That's it.
So people look at the masters. They look at the legacy, those who are in their legacy season, and they're like, I could do that.
And I ain't got to do all that you did.
Yeah, Unc.
Right.
Auntie.
Auntie. Because we at the auntie stage, right?
Girl.
They be like, auntie.
Right. I think a few weeks ago, like my son called me Ma Dukes. He was like, and I said, now, I get that there are, the idioms and the sayings that come around.
Right.
But I wasn't as surprised until somebody called me auntie. And I don't mind it because I'm a master.
Right. Exactly. We at that stage. But when you become the auntie, you like, wow, okay, I was just the sister a minute ago. Now, when did I become the auntie? Okay.
Right, friend.
I know, that's what I
was just
thought.
Friend. But the sad thing about, or what you don't want to do, is be auntie and unc, and you haven't completed stage 1.
Wow. Yeah.
Stage 2. Here you are where you should be mastering, and you're still depending on someone to give you a dream. You're still depending on someone to give you guidance.
Yes.
Or you're still depending on someone to financially support you.
Right.
And so how we avoid that is we build the foundation.
That's it.
When it comes to finances, we build the foundation, so that, because I know when I was there, going back to those stages, I remember being there and looking at other people and saying, how are they able to do that? Because all these bills I got, how do you get there?
How you do it.
And what I discovered is you have to do those foundational things
in order to get there.
Yeah.
And there's
have
principle.
to.
There's
Yeah.
line upon line precept. You got to go
Principle.
through those processes.
I love it. Come on,
yes.
Kingdom
You
Builder.
got to do it. We got to
Yeah.
You got to build it.
Yeah.
And there's definitely a reward in having that firm foundation.
Yeah.
Because there are not always going to be easy times with being in any type of business, any type of thing that you're doing, that you're putting your hands to do.
Yeah.
But if you have that
hard
foundation, you
work.
have those things in place, it helps you on those days where it's not a good days, because you understand that you have that foundation that's laid, and that there's going to be other days after this. It's going to be better.
Yeah. And you can take those vacations and all that kind of stuff, but just make sure you don't skip the steps.
That's it.
Don't skip the steps. Trust the process.
Trust the process.
There's a process to this.
Yes. We hope that you have gained some knowledge and understanding about, trusting the process and going through those things. There are different stages in life and different phases in life, but we hope that you understand what phase you're in and understand that the process is there.
Yeah.
And if you trust the process, it can bring you good.
Yeah, I was thinking about, how young people, people these days, not just young people, but most of the young people I talk to, they quit jobs and move from job to job very often. Whereas, versus boomers and, generation before us, they stayed on for
30 years. It was unheard of. Once you had, especially in Michigan, where you got the plant there, listen.
Yeah.
30 years are done. That's when you got your good retirement.
Yeah.
Why would you think about anything else, right?
Now let me say that the industry, economy, and I think the young folks are onto something, because what has happened is, and we'll talk about this next time, but what has happened is you stay relevant.
That's true.
You're able to, just like I was explaining to a client the other day, that let's compare these generations. Okay. Let's compare these generational approaches. You have the older generation where it was all about loyalty. And let's just look at an auto insurance policy, right, or an insurance, a property, a PNC policy, or streaming service. Mm-hmm. Those are great examples, just like employers, where longevity, staying loyal to those types of entities, it doesn't pay off. The discounts, the higher income or higher salary, typically is not for the one who has been with us for a long time, but it's to the one who's come to the new one. That's true. The new insurance customer is going to get the deep discount. Mm-hmm. Bundle and save,
right. The deep discount. Add more, right.
Right. And the one who's been with us for 15 years, well, every year their rate goes up. Mm-hmm. Every year their rate goes up. And so I tell clients, what you need to do is you should shop around. Mm-hmm. Maybe not annually, but maybe at least every 2 years, every 3 years. Because even if you escrow your homeowner's insurance or whatever, your property insurance, you still can find a new carrier with a lower rate, pay that new rate, and then get a refund from the one that's in your escrow.
That's true.
Same thing. So that just take me back to the experience with the young folks. I've seen how in some industries it pays off moving from.
It does.
You've done 5 years here, you've done 5 years there. Mm-hmm. Well, with the new laws and the way they're working with these, no longer you don't get a pension anymore. You get that 401k.
Right, and that's
you roll that over into your IRA. You go to the next company, you get in the 401k immediately, get the match. You take that 5 years, and in 5 years you can have $50,000 to $60,000. You take that and roll it over. Okay, it's 10 years. Now you got $100,000 in your IRA. Going on to the next one, and not only are you amassing skills that are desirable for the next company, that you can name your salary, but you're still saving along the way.
Right. So but that's effective strategy, and that's still building that foundation, right?
Yeah.
Even if it's a different way than maybe we would have done it.
Right. Yes. Well, okay. So we're going to end this show today.
Yes.
But I thank you so much for talking to me today and talking with us about trusting the process. There is a process. I think as we have shared all our stories and the things that we have been through, so glad to have gone through the process, the good, the bad,
all of it,
and the ugly. Right? Yes. So I'm going to sign off here. This is Erica Hall with Erica Hall Wealth Advisors.
And Urenia Ricks Johnson with Ricks & Associates.
And we are here with the Trust Issues Podcast. Yes. Stay up, stay positive, and be blessed.
Be blessed.
Hey, my name is Joe Smith. I'm a filmmaker here in Detroit, and I watch WVTC and listen. Watch and listen. You got the eyes and ears, both.
Get ready, Detroit, because we're about to do it again. The GMWA Detroit chapter presents Women Impacting the World 2025. Join us for an unforgettable concert experience featuring Powerhouse 100-voice women's choir under the direction of Evangelist Sandra Rose, along with Sheila Oden, Sherry Watson Robinson, and Teresa Youngblood. It's all happening Sunday, October 19th at 4 p.m. at Kadesh Baptist Church, 20361 Plymouth Road, Detroit. And that's not all. We're honoring two of Detroit's finest women, Reverend Dr. Jacqueline Nelson and Miss Linda Swanson, plus a special tribute to our GMWA Detroit Legacy member. And get ready, y'all, because this year's special guest is the incomparable Libby. Oh yeah, this is one concert you don't want to miss. Admission is absolutely free. Free will offering will be collected. For more information, visit gmwadetroit.org. Be there and witness women impacting the world. This is WVTC Detroit, your award-winning gospel internet radio station. We're bringing you the best in gospel music, live shows, and inspiring interviews. Like and share our page on Facebook and YouTube. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button to stay connected. Your support helps us spread positivity and encouragement throughout the community. So whether you download our WVTC app, visit our website at WVTCDetroit.com, or join us on Facebook or YouTube, you will stay connected and entertained. Join our WVTC Detroit listener family today and tell your friends about us. Together, we can make a difference. WVTC Detroit, where gospel meets the community. Go to your Apple or Google Play Store and download the WVTC Gospel Radio app today. You can also say, Alexa, play WVTC Radio Skills.
Would you like to play WVTC Radio Network?
Absolutely. Download it today.
You're listening to WVTC Gospel Radio Detroit, and we're flowing in the Spirit.